Hello everyone and welcome back to the Value Investor Show. Today I want to talk about a stock that you've probably seen all over X in the past few weeks, which is Duolingo. I know that a lot of investors are advocating about this stock and many are asking, is this going to be a 10x stock in the future? And here's what you need to know about this stock. So for today, I want to dive into 5 specific buckets. The first one is really the current valuation of the stock. The second one is the number of users of the stock, either paying or non-paying. Thirdly is about the facing scrutiny that the stock has and the reason behind it. The fourth is around the tailwinds, the growth opportunities, the forecasted growth of the company, and finally is the intrinsic value and my final thoughts on whether I'm buying or whether I'm not. So Duolingo reported earnings 2 weeks ago, and the earnings report was a fantastic report. The growth was outstanding, and since the report, the stock gained 30%. Essentially going from the 350 range to more than $440 per share. But since then, it has essentially lost all of their gains and it's now back to the levels before the Q2 report. The company itself is trading at the 140 PE ratio and a market cap of 15 billion. And in this video, we're going to analyze on whether this is a value that makes sense, whether this company is trading below or above the intrinsic value. From a financial standpoint, Duolingo has been improving significantly over the last 5 years, which is number of years that we have public information for. Total revenues of the company have been increasing at a 51% CAGR growth, growing from 28 million in 2020 per quarter to more than 250 million per quarter in 2025. So essentially the business has 10x financial metrics. The other positive sign is the fact that net profit margin has also been increasing. It has been increasing steadily, and last quarter, in fact, it was 17.8% of net margin, which is very, very impressive. Net income, in fact, has also been increasing. It has been a profitable business since 2023 and has been increasing steadily with the net income margin, and many are forecasting that this will continue to increase, that the net income margin will continue to become higher and higher. Of course, Duolingo is going to reach a point where net margin will not be able to increase any further, but I think the current margin of 14 to 20% is reasonable. Now, in terms of monthly users, the company, the application has been growing over time significantly in terms of the monthly active users, and that's users that could essentially use the platform even once a month. It has been growing. But with that being said, I have added one more metric here, which essentially tracks the percentage change, the yearly percentage change per quarter. And it actually shows that the company has been increasing year on year quite rapidly. And since the second quarter of 2023, the company is now still seeing growth, but the growth has been steadily decreasing. And in fact, for Q2 2025, there has been a decrease in monthly active users quarter over quarter. Now, the daily active users are also showing a similar picture where the daily active users, so that's users that use the service daily, have been increasing. The difference between the previous graph and this graph is that daily active users have increased at the last quarter and have continued to increase. But we are seeing again that year on year, there is a steady downward trend in the year on year growth for daily active users. Essentially, what we're seeing is that this platform is still growing, but is not growing at the same level that it has grown in the past. And data suggests that this trend could continue downward. So we could see a platform that is growing, but at a slower pace. And that's not a great, it is expected with economies of scale, with the company becoming larger, it is expected that growth will slow down. The question though is how much will that growth slow down for, and when will it reach that equilibrium? Another important figure are paid users. So the users are actually paid, that actually bring revenue to the business. And again, as you guys can see, we are seeing a steady growth, an upward slope on the number of paid users per quarter for the company. But again, we are seeing a moment of peak around 2022, 2023, when year-on-year growth is just massive. And then that year-on-year growth continues to grow, but at a lower pace. And it's quite concerning. At the same time, it's quite expected. So again, the real question is, when does it reach a point where it grows at the level that is constant? Before we dive into the rest of the video, I want to thank today's sponsor, Fiscal AI. If you're serious about investing, this platform is a game changer. It gives you beautiful, clear graphs with all the KPIs you care about in absolute numbers and percentage changes. It has powerful forecasting tools so that you can project performance and even calculate a company's intrinsic value. It has industry benchmarks so you know exactly how a business stacks up, and it has detailed equity research papers with everything you need. Above all that, it's all integrated with AI so you can leverage AI in every part of your analysis. This is honestly a no-brainer platform. I use it every single day, and for a limited time you can get 15% off using my link in the description and pinned comment below. Don't miss it, sign up now. So overall, Duolingo is still growing, and here we have all the three charts that I just showed all combined. So overall we are seeing a positive trend, but if we put all the lines together, we are seeing year-on-year growth slowly decreasing and going downwards. So there is growth, but there is slowing growth, and that's one of the key concerns. Now, with that being said, Duolingo has some growth drivers that are very exciting for the company and for investors. The first one is the expansion beyond the language learning system. So Duolingo is pretty much known for the fact that you can dive into the platform and try and learn a new language. But now Duolingo is expanding vertically into new subjects like mathematics, like music, like chess. And in fact, the CEO, the leadership has said that they are growing rapidly and they are seeing the potential to not only attract new users and increase engagement, but also essentially move existing users across different subjects. And that increases engagement. It increases the possibility of someone turning into a paid users. And in fact, these subjects do align with Duolingo's strategy to become a more comprehensive educational platform for subjects that require long-term learning. The company is also using AI and AI-driven content creation. It's leveraging AI to automate content creation, which allows for faster and cheaper production of learning materials, which allows the company to rapidly expand its offerings and improve existing content. And this, I think, is the most important aspect, the most important key growth factor of Duolingo. Duolingo has been getting data for years. It's very mature in the language business. It's very mature in the educational app market, and they have been acquiring data, and they can leverage that data using AI to become better, to improve the customer experience. And I think there is a lot of opportunity there to unlock for the company. Now, the third growth driver for the company, in my perspective, is new markets and subscription tiers. With new subjects coming in, with AI coming in, I think that Duolingo has an opportunity to make more subscription tiers that are more affordable in markets like, for example, India, which not only can increase adoption and subscription rates, but also tap into new markets and increase accessibility to premium features, which would dramatically increase the revenue and net income of the company as they enter new markets which they haven't tapped yet. Duolingo is primarily driven in the US, in Europe, and so the opportunity to enter larger markets like India would significantly improve the long-term fundamentals of this company. Now, Duolingo is also facing a lot of scrutiny from different angles over the past months. The first one was that the CEO sent a mass email saying that they would integrate AI across all parts of the business, and that has received a lot of blowback. In fact, once he shared that email that Duolingo was going AI first, a lot of people went public. In fact, some people said that it's unbelievable that they're canceling their accounts, and even the CEO was overwhelmed by the amount of blowback, and he tried to play it down by saying that it was a misjudge in communication. They tried to say that they haven't fired anyone anyone. And he has said that social media users tried to mischaracterize the changes by saying that Duolingo has fired everyone and everything is controlled by a massive AI, which the CEO downplayed and said it wasn't true. But also myself having tried to understand what has been going on throughout the last weeks with the backlash, I have understood that there's also a lot of backlash with new updates that are coming out, and a lot of people are saying that they're having issues with the app. They're saying that they don't like the new interface. They're struggling to finish one subject at a time with the new features, with the new math, chess and daily lessons. They get a lot of notifications and they're just not enjoying the over complexities of it. So there's definitely a lot of backlash that is coming as well with new updates. So it's not all roses and rainbows for Duolingo with the new updates. There's also some backlash. Now, in the meantime, apart from the internal problems that the company is facing, which I think are relatively minor, there is a big problem that the company will soon face, and that's competition. OpenAI has launched study mode with GPT-5, which is a new version of the chatbot that strives to educate by withholding information. Essentially, OpenAI is attempting to join the AI educational battleground. In fact, they have released a video of a person that has created an interactive game by himself to learn French, which once released essentially erased a lot of Duolingo's gains post their earnings release. So there are some structural problems with new LLMs, with new competitors, with new people creating new applications using AI. Duolingo could face competition, could face increased competition. In fact, that could churn down their subscription rates, their new members, their monthly active users, etc. I have used Duolingo before. I used it for a few weeks and then I haven't used it since then. So there is a high churn rate, and with new applications coming, some people might prefer other applications rather than Duolingo. Duolingo doesn't have a competitive advantage in that aspect. But the company's growth is undeniable. It is slowing down, yes, but the fact is that the company is growing, historically and forecasted to grow at crazy levels. Analysts expect an average growth rate of 40% year on year in terms of revenue. They also expect an average growth rate of 200% on EPS. So overall, the company's growth forecasts are there. It's a company that is growing, it's a company that is booming, and we probably haven't seen the best of Duolingo. The question that investors need to ask is Duolingo now an attractive valuation for someone to enter this company, to become an investor? And that's the question I'm trying to ask for myself. Most analysts, in fact, in Wall Street are expecting Duolingo to outperform. Even the lower forecast is expected to outperform the current stock price. And even the higher end of the forecast are expecting the company in the next 12 months to increase by 76%. Most of analysts are having a buy or an outperform rating, and some have a hold rating, with none having a sell or a strong sell rating. So the consensus is that this stock will climb further up. But having run the numbers, having seen what the historical financials are and what the forecasted are, I have used assumptions like 25% growth in revenue, EPS, and free cash flow growth of 25%, which is rather base, which is rather conservative. I always try to be conservative in my estimates. Using those conservative values, net income is expected to triple, revenue is expected to triple as well by 2030. I am expecting profit margin to stay at the 14% level as a relatively conservative estimate, and free cash flow as well to triple by 2030. And under those assumptions, the intrinsic value using the discounted cash flow method is $109, which is way below the current price, and the intrinsic value with the EPS method is $1,000. So there is a massive difference in EPS and DCF method. What this tells us is that from an EPS standpoint, the company is undervalued, but when you look at free cash flow, and I do prefer this method because it actually shows how much cash flow the company has to return to shareholders, and using the DCF perpetuity method, we are seeing that the company is overvalued quite significantly. So the question isn't isn't whether the company will increase revenues and net income, but whether they're able to effectively turn that net income into free cash flow. And I think that's where the opportunity, that's where the value will be unlocked. But for now, it doesn't seem like an attractive investment based on my DCF method intrinsic value calculation. So my final thoughts are, firstly, that at a PE ratio of 140 to 150, the company is overpriced for my liking. I have used Duolingo before, but within days, as I said, I have quit. And for me, the risks outweigh the tailwinds right now. The ChatGPTs and other platforms could create better and more interactive alternatives if they want to. New competitors could enter the market and leverage AI. And also, mobile apps are very cyclical. One day you like an app, the next day you don't, especially when it comes to apps that are not related to social media, when are educational apps. And so with those risks, I will not be buying Duolingo at this price point, but I might consider it again if it drops the sub 300 levels. Shout out to my donations. Thank you so much for watching. I spent so much time putting these videos together. Please subscribe, like, leave a comment, and follow me on X for more daily updates. And I'll see you in the next video.